Now we'll backtrack to my 8 and 7 pickups of the week. These next few are going to actually have a common theme of handcuffs that are now stepping into bigger roles here. Zamir White being the first of them. Only 2% rostered, so very, very much likely to be out there in your league. And Josh Jacobs going down with a quad injury. Now, no word yet on how serious it is, but given they play on Thursday, I would say it's a very, very big likelihood that Zamir White will be starting this game and likely to see some meaningful work given that the Raiders are home favorites here, 3+ favorite points, depending on your sports book, even more potentially facing Easton Stick. Probably going to have a positive game flow for a Zamir White day. And that's really important because he is splitting this backfield with Amir Abdullah. When Jacobs left, it was a split scenario, and Abdullah actually played more snaps given that they were playing from behind and throwing to the run. They were playing from behind, 0-0 game, but the script did call for passing by the time Jacobs was out of there. So Abdullah did ultimately play more snaps than Zamir White, but we saw throughout training camp, Zamir White was that number one back throughout in the preseason. 13 carries, 43 yards, and a touchdown in week 1. Then 11 touches, 1 catch, 49 yards in preseason week 2. He was the clear-cut featured back in those games. And again, we don't know how serious this injury is, but at minimum, a game against the Chargers, 11th most points allowed to backs, and an even better game flow situation here with Easton Stick. Not a bad spot for him at all. And then he wraps up the season with the Kansas City Chiefs, 19th points allowed to running backs, and then the Colts, 4th most points allowed to running backs. So the schedule is not bad. Should Jacobs, on the franchise tag, maybe say, F this team, they have nowhere to go, we could see Zamir White potentially just closing out the season as the starter here. Certainly a guy worth 4 to 8% fab. And if you're desperate for a starter, hey, you could definitely toss a few more bucks here on him. I also, though, do prefer Ty Chandler as a handcuff, given that Alexander Mattison left with an ankle injury. He was really grimacing in pain. It looked pretty ugly. Certainly no fracture or anything like that, but a high ankle sprain could be a season ender at this point, given how late we are in the season. Ty Chandler had 12 carries for just 35 yards, 3 catches for 7 yards, so nothing great in his fill-in duty, but he did become the pretty much only guy. He played all but 3 of the running back snaps, had all but 1 of the running back carries. Once Alexander Mattison left, 56% total of the snaps, and 48% of the rush attempts, 48% of the routes, and a 9% target share there for Ty Chandler. And it's not like we haven't seen him be efficient in the past. In fact, it was weird. In week 12, they just kind of abandoned Ty Chandler, but the 2 weeks before that, he had 10 and 15 PPR fantasy points, particularly that week 11 game, 10 carries, 73 yards, 37 yards on 4 catches as well. He was looking really, really solid with that 110 total yards there for Ty Chandler. And we saw throughout the preseason and just whenever he's gotten his opportunities for the most part, has really flashed more than Alexander Mattison has Ty Chandler. So with Cincinnati, middle-of-the-road matchup that is particularly susceptible to the run these last few weeks with their middle linebackers hurt. You get Detroit in week 16, not a good spot at all for Ty Chandler, but then Green Bay, a top 10 matchup for running backs as well. So the rest of the season schedule, pretty light here for Ty Chandler. Should he be that featured guy? Maybe they mix in Kene Nwangba, but I really just think this would be the Ty Chandler, 70% of the snaps, 65 to 70% of the workload as well. And then you can do some nice things with it, given the soft schedule. And Nick Mullins has a track record of peppering the running backs there with San Fran when he used to play with Kyle Shanahan. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.